What is up, guys, and welcome to today's video where I'll be showing you the 10k cheap Premier League squad that you could potentially use to destroy your opponents in like 09 seasons, such as Foot Champions or like 09 season, wherever. So what we're going to be doing in this video, obviously it'll be based on the formation 4-3-3. You know, obviously a lot of people don't like this formation, but you know, I just play with it because I'm like really used to it. I played it since like FIFA 13, so I'll be showing you in this formation. So the first player is going to be Divock Origi. Now the good thing about this guy is that he's got decent enough pace to get behind the defenders, and then you know, dribbling, I don't think dribbling is very important in this game, just in my opinion. Obviously it's very different if you're talking about players like Messi, Neymar or like Ronaldo, but 76 dribbling is decent enough to get past, you know, anyone you like if you're like pretty good enough. His shooting's pretty decent as well. He's 6'1", so he gets some decent amount of headers, but he scored 25 goals and 18 assists in 50 games, which is pretty good, and you can pick him up as cheap as 750 coins, which is pretty good. And we're going to moving on to the next player, which is going to be the left midfielder player playing at left wing, but that doesn't really matter. So let's have a look, which is going to be Son. Now this guy is probably one of the best cheap plays in FIFA, like I'm being legit. So first of all, he's 6 foot tall, which is very important. Like I just like using tall players because it's always useful when you get like airball situation, and if your players can't get the header, it's a little bit annoying, but this guy can, and he's got very decent pace as well. 86 pace is pretty good enough. And then the best thing about this guy is that his shooting is absolutely like 81 shooting. That's just game over. Like 81 shooting is probably all you need. You can just do like long shots. His finishing is decent. I'm pretty sure he got 5-star weak foot as well. You can basically use both of his feet. His dribbling is decent. His passing is not too bad, which is pretty good play. So you should definitely add Son to the squad. It doesn't have to be like a the squad building challenge one. It just can be the normal one because he's just that good enough. And then we're going to be moving on to the player on the right winger, which is going to be Leroy Sané. Now once again, this guy, you can pick him up for 800 coins. I didn't mention before, but you can pick up Son for just 700 coins, which is very, very cheap. I picked him up for that price as well. But looking at Sané here, now the good thing about this, once again, I'm going to say it again, he's 6 foot tall and he is left footed. Now that can be a little bit controversial, since like obviously shooting to the far post is very overpowered in this game, but I scored so many goals with his right foot. Like I think I scored more goals with right foot than actually left foot, so you can actually do decent finishing with him as well. He's pretty tall, 6 foot tall, so obviously he's very, very fast as well with that 91 pace. Then we're going to be moving on to the midfielders, and the first one we are going to having a look at is a non-red. So you guys may not like this guy, so I'm just going to mention it anyway first, because it is going to be Jason Puncheon. But what I can tell you, if you do use him, you're not going to regret it. You're probably not going to regret it. Look at the stats, amazing stats. His weak foot is just not great, so just don't even think of using his right foot. But his left foot is like, the best thing about this guy is that even though he says 76 paces, it feels really fast. His shooting is really, really good. I can tell you his shooting is very good. I scored many long shots. His finishing is very decent as well. Just don't shoot with his right foot is all you have to remember. You can just pick him up for 450 coins. Now we're going to moving on to the next central midfielder, who is going to be Yohan Cabaye. Obviously a central defensive midfielder, so I'm just going to search him up. We have got him here. Obviously a good link with Jason Puncheon as well. If you really want to, then you can just change his position to central midfielder. I can't be really bothered to do that because I get their chemistry to 10 anyway. But looking at Cabaye now, he's a very defensive player, and then you'll really need him if I'm going to explain the next player, which is going to be Jack Wilshere on the right centre mid as well. You can pick him up for as cheap as 800 coins, which is pretty good for an 81 rated player. Obviously not the fastest player, but he got decent dribbling, and once again his shooting is good, and that's really important because you never know who's going to shoot. Like that's FIFA 17. Like while playing, your right back, your fullback might even have to shoot as well. So you know, it's always important to have players that has the ability to score some goals. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to put Jack Wilshere on the right hand side of the midfield position. Once again, this is a really important player because obviously the central centre mid, like centre mid, obviously centre mid. What am I saying? I don't know. But once again, this guy got 2-star weak foot, so you probably do not want to be using his right foot, but as long as you use his left foot, he's gonna be a really good finisher. Like, his finishing isn't that bad, 69 shooting, but his passing is decent, his dribbling is decent. Not the tallest player, all three midfielders aren't very tall, but if you really want like tall players, you can get yourself maybe Kuyate or Wanyama, who's a very strong player. And if you like that kind of players, then you can definitely put them into the squad. But Wilshere definitely a decent player as well. We're going to be moving on to the left back, which is going to be Danny Rose. Now, to be absolutely honest, I am not the biggest fan of this guy, even though if you can use him properly, then he will play really good, because obviously his stats are very decent. But just in my opinion, I sometimes prefer to use Kolarov, because I don't really care about pacing my fullbacks. But if you really want to, you can use like Shaw or something, but because they're expensive, because Danny Rose, you can get him as cheap as 1,000 coins, which is actually not that cheap, but it is kind of cheap compared to like other left backs really. Or you can get yourself a Masuaku, I hope I said his name right. He plays for West Ham. He's pretty tall, he got decent amount of pace, he's got good shooting as well. French left back from West Ham. I think he's 75 rated. He's pretty good as well. If you want to use him, you can definitely pick him up as well. He would be really cheap. And then on the right back, we have got Manquillo, if I can find him. Oh my goodness, I can't find the queue. So Manquillo, once again, a very good play. As you can see, he's got decent amount of pace. His shooting is not that great. That's why I only scored 3 goals in 122 games. He's like the most played player, because I can't be really bothered to buy another right back. But this guy, but the reason is that he plays really decent. He's pretty decent in heading as well. 5'11", that's not too bad. We're going to be moving on to the centre backs, which is going to be John Stones. So we're going to be talking about John Stones first. And the best thing about this guy is that obviously if you haven't played with him, if you haven't really used the defensive yet, when the attacker is about to get past your defender, then if you just press the square button in PS4, then he's just gonna push you away. I did so many times with John Stones. I don't know why. John Stones is, I just really like using John Stones. Like, he really suits, and I think he's gonna suit a lot of players as well. And he only goes for like 900 coins, which is a bargain as well, considering his pace as well. And Joel Matip, once again, another bargain. You can get him up to 900 coins. I bought him for 2,700 because I'm a Hmong, and then I can't really use the transfer market properly. But now his price dropped to 900, which is really good, because I genuinely think that he is so good. 6'5", so basically he gets all the headers and corners, is pretty helpful. His pace is pretty decent as well. And then we're going to moving on to the final position, which is going to be the goalkeeper, which is going to be Fraser Forster. Now, if you haven't realized yet, that I have got Begovic in my substitute box. As you can see, Begovic chilling here, but he's only played 17 games for me, because I genuinely think that Fraser Forster plays better. And then you can obviously pick him up as cheap as 700 coins, because no one will really want him, but you want him because look at that 5-star weak foot. I just noticed that, by the way. But he's just a really good keeper. As you can see, tall keeper, very important in this game as well. He makes a lot of good saves, and I just think that he's not dodgy, and then he's just a really solid keeper. Like, keeper is really hard to explain. You'll just get to know it when you actually use the player. Anyways guys, this will be it for today's video. Now obviously I haven't really shown you any of the gameplay, but I will soon when the FUT champion comes soon, so I can actually verse really hard opponents, so I can hopefully beat them, which is not possible. I just get like gold 3, that's just about what I get, just enough to qualify for the next weekend thing. But anyways guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and goodbye.